Hi guys, Mac here again. I'm going to talk about storage again today. What we have here is an OWC Envoy Express. It's a Thunderbolt 3 bus powered enclosure for an NVMe SSD. Now the reason this caught my attention is that it's so cheap. It cost me $80 US. Admittedly it does take 3 or 4 weeks for it to turn up, but it was very cheap. So I thought we could have a look at it. In addition, I've got this Sabrent 1TB NVMe SSD to put in the unit so we can actually test that and see how it copes with things like overheating. So let's get it out of the box and we'll have a look at it. So there is the unit itself. It looks very similar in size to the other unit that I reviewed recently. I'll put the link to it down below. So let's get the SSD into this and we'll see how it performs. They do come in very cool little packs, these NVMe devices from Sabrent. There's our unit. Very pleased to see they've included the holding screw. A lot of devices seem to be leaving that out, which is very annoying. The unit also appears to have a heatsink attached in there, or a heat transfer pad, which is also pretty good. So let's get this back together. So the unit's all done. That couldn't have been easier to get it all set up. Let's get it plugged in and we'll see what the performance is like. And I want to see if it copes with things like overheating or whether we get any performance slowdown. So let's go and have a look at that. Here we are on my iMac Pro and I've got the drive set up now. I've also got some content on there. I think that's about a 400 gigabyte photos library. Yes, it is. So let's have a look and see which enclosure we are actually talking about. It's this one here. It is the OWC Envoy Express. Now, as you can see here, it's still showing as on pre-order. I actually ordered this towards the end of August and it was showing as shipped at the end of August, but I've only just received it and it's 28th September at the moment. So what about the SSD that's in it? That is one of these units here. Now this is quite a fast SSD. I wanted to choose one that was above the performance of the Envoy itself, just to make sure that I wasn't missing anything there. So what we have is a 1TB SSD that's cost me about £100 for the SSD itself and about $80 for the enclosure. So it is fairly good value for a Thunderbolt 3 SSD. So let's go and have a look and see how well it performs. So I'm going to start, we'll just do a Blackmagic speed test. We'll make sure we've got the right drive selected. There we go, the Envoy. So as you can see there, the speeds are very similar to what OWC claim you can get. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Now, one thing I do run into with the Sabrent devices is the SLC write cache seems to be quite small on them. So obviously if you do a large write to this device, the lack of size on that cache will slow it down. So let me show you what I mean. I've got a virtual machine here. It is about 22 gigabytes in size. Let me copy it to the OWC Envoy and we will do another speed test after it's finished copying. That's all done. Let's redo this speed test. So as you can see, the write performance has more than halved, as has the read performance. Now, I will say that I think this is down to the SLC cache size, because I also have this issue on a larger 2TB Sabrent unit that I have. Although I will say the other 2TB unit I have does seem to overheat. The case on it gets very hot. It hits 50-55 degrees. Now, so far, this case, even under full load, I've not seen it get above about 38 degrees, which is quite surprising. So let's put the unit under some load and we'll see what kind of transfer speeds it achieves. So if we look on this drive, you'll see that I've got a pictures folder here, just a large photos library. It's 421 gigabytes in size, but if we have a look in there. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with these Mac packages, even though that appears as one file, it's not. If I open the package, that has all of my photos in there. So there are quite a few smaller files in there. So let's get this copied across to another fast SSD and we'll see what impact that has on performance and also heat. Okay, that certainly took a little while. It took about just over 14 minutes to complete that, which if you look at the calculations, I think it's 421 gigabytes and about 35,000 small files. That actually went through at around 500 megabytes per second, which shows you the impact of that cache getting filled up. It does have quite a profound effect on the performance, but of course most of the time I don't use my SSDs like that. What I've been really interested in is whether the unit is overheating, because that tends to cause me a lot of problems, especially with things like virtual machines. Now, the case does get quite warm, but the peak temperature I saw during that whole of that copy operation was about 42 degrees, which is a lot better than some of the other units that I have. So I've left the drive alone for a couple of minutes just to give it time to clear that cache down. So let's just try that performance test again. We're now back to the original benchmark figures that we were seeing before that write cache got exhausted. So in terms of the general performance of the unit, I'm quite happy with the enclosure. I think I'm going to have a look at the type of SSDs that I'll be using in them, because I think these Sabrent ones seem to have a smaller cache. I think it might be down to the type of SSD, so I'll do a bit more investigation on that. But most of my use is going to be for things like virtual machines, video and photo editing, and this sort of performance for this sort of price point, it's pretty ideal for my usage. But anyway, these videos are never that interesting, but it is the kind of content that I'm searching for when I want to buy some new kit. So if you get any questions about this stuff, drop a comment in the section below and I'll try and answer them for you. Until next time.